Hello and welcome to this hobby health video where we will be discussing the benefits of a particular part of the hobby that I personally feel is important in regards to coping with ill mental health. Now, I know there are many people involved in the hobby that feel that creating your own army, or homebrew as it's known, is reserved for those with a particular skill level when it comes to the brush and the modelling tool. But I am here to tell you that this is not the case. No matter what your skill level, it is more than possible to create your own chapter, regiment, clan, craft world, warband, dynasty or sept, complete with its own colours, background and characters that feel fun, unique and keeps you motivated. Within this feature there are a number of key aspects that draw people to creating their own forces, one of which is simply creativity, and in turn the freedom that it grants us as hobbyists. Brad Brenner, PhD, cites a number of interesting points about creativity in an article back in 2019, titled "Creativity is Your Secret Advantage for Mental Health and Well-Being." And he says, or asks first of all, what does it mean to be creative? Most people tend to think of creativity in the realm of arts such as writing, painting or composing original works. In reality, that's a relatively limited definition. Brenner then goes on to mention Dr. Maurice Stein, psychology professor and creative expert, who wrote a paper back in 1953 called Creativity and Culture, where he defined creative work as a novel work that is accepted as tenable, useful and satisfying by a group in some point in time. He further explained that a novel work is a creative product that did not exist previously in precisely the same form. Modern psychologists studying this link between creativity and mental health often use Stein's interpretation of creativity to illustrate the incredible range of what can be called creative today. Further to this, he mentioned psychologist and art therapist Dr. Kathy McCaldy, who cited multiple studies confirming that being creative can increase positive emotions, lessen depressive symptoms, reduce stress, decrease anxiety, and even improve immune system functioning. A 2016 study in the Journal of Positive Psychology supported these earlier findings, concluding that spending time on creative goals during the day is associated with higher activated positive effect on that day. To allow your creative juices to flow allows us to tap into a variety of inspirational sources and can be a contributing factor in finding our flow. Have you ever been so immersed in a task that you lost track of time, where you were ever focused only on your own progress and what's going on right there and then? To the point where you were oblivious to the outside world? If so, you've experienced flow. Congratulations. Now, flow reduces anxiety, boosts mood, and even slows your heart rate, resulting in an overwhelming feeling of happiness. Many who immerse themselves in the homebrew experience tend to find it easier to achieve that sense of flow, as they are not constrained or restricted by an ongoing narrative not of their creation. Creativity comes in like a mental health superhero to help reduce stress, anxiety and depression. A creative activity like crafting is likened to medication because of its calming effect on the brain and body. Doing something crafty after work or on the weekends can help you focus on something other than the thoughts that are racing through your mind. Even something as simple as adding your own flair to a character or creating a unit with its own background within an existing faction can release dopamine, a natural antidepressant. Even if your first experience with a creative activity such as creating a homebrew feels awkward or unnatural, over time this creativity could possibly help you quiet the noise in your mind so that you can experience peace and calm. Plus, creativity can help you process trauma. Studies find that activities like writing helps people manage their negative emotions in a healthy and productive way. And for people who don't like writing, visual arts like painting or drawing helps them express trauma or experiences that they find too difficult to put into words. I have found creating my own chapters of Marines has been, during some of the darker points in my life, therapeutic. They have enabled me to channel many of the negative emotions that I felt at the time onto an inanimate object, which, narratively speaking, is a stronger framework to deal with said negativity. And although from a miniature painter's perspective there are no true unique or original ideas anymore, putting together a colour scheme, a theme, a story concept all together, you create something unique and personal to yourself. Now, maybe you aren't great when it comes to writing. Guaranteed there will be someone out there within the community that is more than happy to help you and advise you on the way to writing your own background. Don't feel like you're particularly good at art? No worries, there's plenty of commission artists out there, as well as just naturally artistic people who are more than happy to go out of their way to help you envision your homebrew, because the chances are, if you find the right person, they are a fan of this aspect of the hobby as much as you are. For some who enjoy the aspect of creating homebrews, it comes from a deep desire to escape our surroundings and immerse ourselves in a whole other world. And through the creation of a character, a unit or army, we can actively achieve this, freeing ourselves of stresses and worries and giving in to our imagination as our creation flies across the galaxy, achieving feats that we can only but dream of. The freedom this aspect offers allows us to carve out our own story in a setting that is already so rich and wonderful, with terrible concepts, heroes, villains and monsters. But we are able to take part in that. We are able to detach ourselves and disconnect from these worries and concerns, and maybe overcome certain anxieties that hold us back from our day-to-day lives. When it comes to creating a homebrew, that freedom also allows us to make further correlation to a factor that we can relate to, whether it's a combined force of Space Marines from various chapters that have formed into one, or a female Space Marine chapter created by some nefarious tech adept. They are all welcome and appreciated by a large portion of the community. That creativity allows you to create further connections to an ever-expanding universe that you have a passion for. You want to paint up a multicoloured Ork army or Tyrannid or even Space Marines? Go for it. Why? Because it's fun. It taps into that creativity that drew many people into the hobby in the first place and expands an already fully fledged coping mechanism for mental health. Throughout various codex over the years, for example, there have been notes aimed at people who are interested in creating their own force that states, these characters are from a specific chapter but can be used in others as long as you change the name. If GW didn't want us to create these wild, wacky and wonderful armies with fully fledged background and colourful personas, then they wouldn't actively encourage it. Take the article by Martin Morin that he did for GW, which details his journey to creating his own chapter, which I may add is a great read. I will put a link in the description below. He states, while creating your own chapter's name, narrative and colour scheme is great, for me, getting to create their rules is the cherry on the cake, and the new codex does just that. Now, all we have to do is look at the most recent releases. Each and every faction at this point has rules that actively encourage the creation of your own force within the existing factions, making it more fun, motivational ways of getting involved in the hobby. Now, I would just like to point out, I know some people have received a negative response when it comes to creating your own force, your own homebrew, be it the theme you are using or some inspiration, but these voices often come from a loud minority. Not everyone dislikes the idea of homebrews. Personally, whether you're going for canon friendly or outright wacky, if that idea is giving you that dopamine hit, making you happy and keeping you motivated, then keep going and ignore the negativity. Your creativity adds to the ever-expanding pool of talent and gives newcomers an idea of what the hobby can be for them. Thank you all for watching. I hope this has been insightful and helpful. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and as always, please leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear your voice on this topic. Be safe and keep on hobbying.